perfect film is something which many claim to be a title earned by The Godfather or Shawshank Redemption. Look at any one of the top 100 movies lists and you'll almost always find those two at the top. Your perfect film could be something you wouldn't change a thing about. You just love it so much. Mine is The Nightmare Before Christmas, Zoe's is La La Land. We wouldn't want a single frame of these movies changed because we love them so much. But criticism can be made of them. Maybe the musical as a genre irritates you, the stop motion style of animation creeps you out. Ryan Gosling and Emma Stone have nothing on the dancing talents of Fred Astaire and Ginger Rogers. To me, you're crazy if you think that way, but that doesn't make you wrong, you just don't see it the way I do. Just as if you were to look at the person you love. In your eyes, they are everything you ever wanted in another human being. But does everyone look at them in the same way? Calling a film perfect can mean a few different things. It doesn't always have to mean what you think is your favourite. Maybe perfection is in the eye of the beholder. But that can't always be the case because perfect objects are factual. They exist. Take 2001: A Space Odyssey. Is it fair to be of the opinion that it is an incredibly slow, mind-numbing movie? Yes. At the same time, is it understandable for someone to hail 2001 as one of the all-time greats? Yes, it is. Because regardless of how you feel about 2001, it displays sheer perfection. There is perfection in its execution, its cinematography, its editing, and as a singular vision of our past, present and future, Space Odyssey is peerless. The definition of perfect is to have all the desirable elements, every one of the characteristics required to make something as good or as complete as it possibly can be. There is nothing you can do to add to it, it has achieved everything in its power to do. And that's what is key here. A perfect film forces you to ask the question, could anything else be done to make it a better version of itself? With Jerry Lewis's The Day the Clown Cried, a film which tried to make a comedy out of children being led to a gas chamber, we see that something can be utterly, detestably wrong, yet still remain a perfect film. Talking to Spy magazine in 1992, comedian Harry Shearer had this to say following his viewing of the film. With most of these kinds of things, you find that the anticipation, or the concept, is better than the thing itself. But seeing this film was really awe-inspiring, in that you are rarely in the presence of a perfect object. This was a perfect object. This movie is so drastically wrong, its pathos and its comedy are so wildly misplaced, that you could not, in your fantasy of what it might be like, improve on what it really is. Oh my god, that's all you can say. Perfection can be both subjective and objective, although the latter is harder to grasp when in the presence of something you hate. If you were to take two rings, perfect circles, one silver, one gold, and were then asked to pick which one is your favourite, there are a number of possible reasons behind your choice. Maybe you prefer silver as a colour, but gold is more valuable. Regardless of which one you choose, both are perfect circles. Even if you hate the colour silver, it still remains a perfect object. Which brings me to the most polarising film in many years, Darren Aronofsky's Mother. I'm not going to decipher this film or explain to you its multiple metaphors or possible interpretations because that's your job if you've seen the movie, but I will detail my experience with it. I found it to be an incredibly frustrating one, how the characters refused to act and react like real people, how insufferable it was to endure. The film purposefully tries to irritate you to the point of panic attack. And then there's the final act. I've seen some upsetting shit in my time, but this film had me wanting to walk out, something which I have never done before, but with this, I had lifted myself out of the seat just as the madness came to a halt, so I stuck it out to the end. I must admit, repulsive as it is, this final sequence is some of the most blisteringly visceral filmmaking I've seen all year. As I left the cinema, I thought I hated it. All it had done was annoy me before taking things too far and then showing me something truly horrendous. I never wanted to see it again. But then I started to think about what I had seen, and I thought about it some more as I got home as the shock of the imagery dissipated. And again as I woke the next morning, there it was at the forefront of my mind. I couldn't get this thing out of my head, because piece by piece, I began to work out exactly what it was the film was showing me. The act of watching Mother was far from enjoyable, but it had a profound impact on me nonetheless. It is a film which exists both inside and outside the theatre, constantly revealing new ideas and tiny details long after the credits rolled, until 24 hours later my opinion had completely changed, and then I had to see it again. This is a very special film, maybe one of the most exciting works this decade, and it's not because I have discovered one of its secrets that no one else did, or have the pretentious belief that I viewed it on a level elevated from everyone else. but because it pulls you in and spits you back out with wildly varying results. You can hate this film, despise it, you can be confused by it, or maybe you got what it was saying, but just don't care or find it all that interesting. All are completely valid opinions to have, and with a film like this, I want people to tell me they hated it, despite my appreciation for it. Normally when you like a film, you want other people to like it. It's only natural that you want to share a love for something. There's nothing better than discussing a good movie with someone who thought the same, and nothing more disheartening to hear that your favourite film of the year is getting trashed by everyone around you. Especially when their response amounts to, "It was just crap." You get defensive, justifying your opinion over theirs, because "it's crap" is not a good enough reason. Mother is not a movie that you should defend, even if you do like it. Because with a movie like this, it can only cause an extreme reaction, with good reason. People are leaving this film baffled, angry, awestruck, and they can tell you exactly why in a fiery rant, which is a wonderful thing to hear because it proves the power behind it, that a film can instigate such passionate debate, even if that comes with outright rejection. I can't imagine anyone coming out of this movie and going, "Meh, it was okay." Then I would start to think that you weren't paying attention properly, because a statement this radical could not produce such a disconnected reply. But despite your opinion of it, Mother is perfect. It's like looking at modern art.
Actually, we don't do that here. This is an installation art piece.
This coffee table?
Yeah.
What?
Like me, you look at most of it and see nothing more than a waste of space that someone got paid way too much money to put there.
500,000? He can read.
Most of the time you don't even know what you're looking at. You ask yourself, is that it?
Look at this. This is nonsense.
Terry, this is an original Haverfield Jameson. The chaos of the coffee table, it represents our fractured egos.
You hate it, and you could give reasons as to why you hate other works like it, but could you do anything to turn it into something you would admire? No.
Fine.
Terry, don't touch that! Terry!
There is an inability to alter it in order to create something better or improve it in some way without betraying what it is. This film is what it is. There's no changing it because there's no way to make it more the artwork that the filmmaker intended it to be. Aronofsky wanted to make a film about everything. Throwing in the kitchen sink, the neighbour's sink, he called up your granny and threw in her and her sink too, all squashed inside a house just to see what would happen. Could the film be more focused by cutting things out? Yes. But then that wouldn't be the gargantuan subject matter he wanted it to encapsulate. Again, Mother does its thing as only Mother can, and that's what makes it a perfect object. And this subjective view of perfection feeds into the main theme of the film. Mother is about creation and its cyclical nature. Whether it be an essay, a painting, or the life you want to make for yourself, you begin with a blank page. And if you fail in your attempts to create what you intended, that page is cast aside and you begin again with another. Mother is no different. It ends as it begins, with a canvas untouched by line or colour. The creative process has once again reached both its conclusion and genesis, forming a perfect circle.
It's just never enough.